From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, President Bola Tinubu orders investigation into alleged payments by Humanitarian Affairs Ministry into a private account. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, says it's time to take a decisive action against terrorists, calls for arrest and prosecution of perpetrators of Christmas Eve attacks in Plateau State. Nigerian Air Force eliminate terrorists in a latest military offensive against terrorists in Borno State, northeast Nigeria, but sadly an ambush on troops of the Nigerian Army and the police in Zamfara State leaves 2 soldiers and 2 policemen dead. And thousands of passengers face flight cancellations after major U.S. airlines ground dozens of... President Bola Tinubu has ordered a thorough probe of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation over allegations of certain payments into a private account. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who disclosed this in a statement on Sunday, acknowledged the uproar over the development, saying that the government is determined to unravel the truth. The statement reads in part, "The federal government, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is transparent and accountable to the people and committed to ensuring that public funds are allocated and utilized effectively and efficiently to address the needs of Nigerians." A controversy had enveloped Dr. Betta Edu's alleged involvement in the approval of 585.2 million naira to be disbursed into a personal account. In a letter allegedly signed by the Humanitarian Minister, the Accountant General of the Federation, Oluwatoyin Madein, was instructed to transfer the sum to the account of one Onielu Bridget as grant for vulnerable groups in 4 states. However, Mrs. Madein explained that although her office received a request from the Humanitarian Ministry to make certain payments, her office did not act on it. The minister, in her reaction, had said there were plans to tarnish her image, adding that she won't embezzle government funds. The Minister of Information is, however, urging Nigerians to await the outcome of the investigation, which he says would be made public. Meanwhile, human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, is calling for the resignation of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Dr. Betta Edu, over the alleged payments of funds meant for vulnerable persons into a private account. The senior lawyer in the statement today is also asking the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, to investigate the activities of the minister and prosecute those indicted. According to Mr. Falana, there can be no legal justification for the criminal diversion of the said sum of 585.18 million naira for disbursement to vulnerable people in Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Lagos and Ogun State, since the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs has collated the individual bank accounts of all the vulnerable people. Mr. Falana says the more honorable thing for the minister is to apologize and resign for betraying the confidence reposed in her rather than describe the fraud allegation as a fabrication by her detractors. It's time to take a decisive action against terrorists in different parts of the country, and that's according to a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Yakubu Dogara. Mr. Dogara, who was speaking during the condolence visit to the Plateau State Governor, Caleb Mutfwang, also called for the arrest and prosecution of the perpetrators of the Christmas Eve attacks on some communities in Plateau State.
Serving and former members of the House of Representatives were part of the entourage of the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Yakubu Dogara, as they pay a condolence visit to Governor Caleb Mutfwang at his residence in Jos.
The truth is that some will think
Without mincing words, the former Speaker advocates the arrest of perpetrators of terrorist acts in order to curb the menace.
wherever these people are and their sponsors, they must be located. And then after they have been located, the Commander-in-Chief will either have to take justice to them or bring them to justice. But the failure to take justice to them or bring them to justice has always been the bane of the fight against terrorism and violence in Nigeria because it emboldened them.
Governor Caleb Mutwang, on his part, explains that the attacks were well coordinated and orchestrated to deliberately cause disaffection amongst people in the state.
It is a deliberate, orchestrated plan to cause mayhem with the sole aim of discomfiting us. But I want to thank God. I think I can, with all boldness, say that I see a desire for a shift with the current president.
Away from the visit, a coalition of Plateau State indigenous youth and ethnic nationalities, during a press briefing in Jos, appealed to the federal government to establish a special commission of inquiry into the Christmas Eve attacks, which led to the loss of over 200 lives.
We are also calling for a flush-out operation of all the bandits and the terrorist elements that have been brought into the state and are ravaging our villages and communities, particularly those that have been housed or hosted in Mahanga, in Riom local government, as well as FAS. These are settlements that were forcefully taken over by the bandits and are currently under the occupation of same. We are also calling for the flush-out operation to be carried out in Were Hills, in Rob District, Judicial, in Bokos, and also Ganandaji in Mushiri, all in Bokos area, because these are become terrorist dens.
Finding a lasting solution to the incessant attacks in Plateau State and other parts of the country through prompt arrests and prosecution of perpetrators appears to be the major concern of Governor Mutwang and the people of Plateau State.
Still on security, armed bandits on Saturday ambushed joint troops of the Nigerian Army and police in Danjigba axis of Safe local government area in Zamfara State. A source from the area who pleaded anonymity told television that the joint task force of the Nigerian Army and police were mobilizing to respond to a distress call in Danjigba town, where terrorists came in their large numbers. Police and army authorities in the state are yet to comment on the latest incident. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force says it has recorded another success in its efforts to eliminate remnants of terrorists in the northeast region. A statement from the Director of Public Relations and Information of the Nigerian Air Force, Air Vice Marshal Edward Gapquet, revealed that successful airstrikes carried out between the 2nd and the 6th of this month by the air and ground components of Operation Hadinkai on 3 locations believed to be terrorist enclave in Borno State. According to the Air Force, the latest airstrikes near the Sambisa Forest and Lake Chad region became necessary following intelligence reports of the convergence of terrorists in the affected areas where they were once dislodged. The strikes led to the neutralization and elimination of several terrorists and the destruction of vehicles and other logistics belonging to them. More on security, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Commandant General, Dr. Ahmed Audi, says he's optimistic that the prevailing insecurity in the country is nearing its resolution, with tangible improvements expected in the near future. Dr. Audi attributes this positive development to the enhanced synergy and collaboration among different security agencies. In an exclusive interview with Channels Television, he urged the civilian population to actively participate in securing the nation by joining efforts with the security forces.
This insecurity situation, this banditry, because it started from insurgency, terrorism, metamorphosing to banditry, kidnapping, and the rest. I like to tell you that it has been decimated. It is going down. It is going down. Before, you dare not try to move on road from Abuja to Kaduna. Before, you cannot dare it. But now you can move freely and go to Kaduna on the road. Because of the proactive measures of the security agencies. And I like to assure you, I like to also tell you that the Corps is involved in all the joint operations nationwide. All the joint operations with the military, the police, the DSS. The Corps is there. I'm a field officer. I'm not an armchair CG. I'm a field officer. I go out and I know what I see. Mm-hmm. And so this conflict is really degrading. It's coming down. But, and like I told you, this is really the first time we have seen proper coordination and collaboration and cooperation between security agencies. So, especially in the area of intelligence sharing. We share intelligence now. I got intelligence, I send intelligence to military, they send to us. We send to police send to us. You know? And that is why the conflict is reducing. But we need the civilian populace to also get involved. Security, like I said, is for everybody.
For the complete interview with Dr. Ahmed Audi, the Commandant General of the NSCDC, tune into Newsnight on Monday at 9 p.m. exclusively on Channels Television. The National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Abdullahi Ganduje, has commissioned a VIP lodge and 3 intracity roads in the Akwanga local government area of Nasarawa State. Mr. Ganduje also received decampees from the People's Democratic Party, Social Democratic Party, All Progressives Grand Alliance ABGA, and Zenith Labour Party to the All Progressives Congress at the ceremony in Lafia, the state capital. Our correspondent, Halima Gayam, reports.
It's an exciting day for residents of Akwanga local government area in Nasarawa State as the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Abdullahi Ganduje, commissions a VIP lodge in the area. He also flags off 3 other roads within Akwanga metropolis. Alongside the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, the APC chairman, proceeds to Lafia to receive the campees from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Social Democratic Party, SDP, All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, and Zenith Labour Party, ZLP, to the fold of the party.
We are widening the scope of our party, and we are widening the scope of our government. We have a blueprint to ensure that we have more governors.
In his remarks, the governor of Nasarawa State says their coming to the party is value addition for the APC in the state.
With all the elections that are coming, you are going to take us to victory. And by the time we get to victory, there is nothing more to talk about but a stronger political party.
Stakeholders at the event pledged their support to the party.
I want to assure you and all and sundry that in Nasarawa State, we are one and united APC family. Forget about rumor mongers. We don't have any axe to grind between me and Governor A.A. Slay.
Political party has no barrier. A political party has no door to close for anybody. But a political party will not tolerate coming in and coming out. We must be committed. We must be committed. Once we said yes, it is yes.
The All Progressives Congress maintains that it is working to deepen democracy and widen its scope to increase its membership, not just at the national level, but across board. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, we shift attention to the judiciary as we continue our series on the task ahead of the government in 2024. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu orders investigation into alleged payments by Humanitarian Affairs Ministry into a private account. Former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, says it's time to take a decisive action against terrorists, calls for arrest and prosecution of perpetrators of Christmas Eve attacks in Plateau State. Nigerian Air Force kills some terrorists in latest military offensive in Borno State, northeast Nigeria, but sadly an ambush on troops leaves 2 soldiers and 2 policemen dead. And thousands of passengers face flight cancellations after major U.S. airlines ground dozens of Boeing jets after a mid-flight blowout over Oregon. While we can't beat our chest yet that we had solved all the security problems, we are working hard to ensure that we all have peace of mind in our homes, places of work, and on the roads. Those were the words of President Bola Tinubu during his New Year's speech. He also reassured Nigerians that national defense and internal security remains a priority. Tonight, Babajide Ogunsowo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data consultant, is here to share insight on the outlook for security in the year 2024. Great to have you again, Babajide, on the News at 10.
The pleasure is always mine.
And Happy New Year, of course.
Happy New Year, surely.
All right, so in the New Year message of President Bola Tinubu, the president has said he understands the expectations of Nigerians. Is there any clue on what he intends to do next regarding security? What's the outlook?
You know, Tony, before we go into the outlook, I'll have brought you a New Year present, but I've been speaking to a lot of Nigerians about what is their outlook for actually a summary of what Nigerians are saying on the streets. For them, this is what the government should focus on. For the average Nigerian, what they are saying is that we should stop talking about seeing the future. What they are saying is that all they need the government of Nigeria to do is to see clearly. In simple terms, seeing the future is the next step. What is urgent right now is they want the government to see clearly. Seeing clearly simply means that the government will get its economic and security programs on the right lane. Millions of Nigerians, Ayotune, believe that the government currently is on a one-way, driving against traffic. And so seeing clearly for Nigerians is sufficient than even seeing the future. Now let's go into the outlook for the year. We are at the point where President Tinubu gave his New Year message. But here's the challenge. Since 1999, and looking at 5 presidents we've had, each president coming in with a new message, we've seen more similarities across New Year messages than differences. If we take a look at President Buhari's first New Year message in 2016, you'll understand what I'm talking about better, because it allows us to put things in perspective. We remember 2016, January, when President Buhari gave that first New Year message talking about lengthy fuel queues at the stations and the difficulties businesses were facing in acquiring foreign exchange. He believed then that those challenges were temporary and the government was going to make things better. That was January 2016. Challenges still persist. January 2016, President Buhari made it clear. The plan was to reduce the country's reliance on oil and diversify the economy. Then, 96% of Nigeria's exports were oil. The report from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that now we still have 90% of our exports still oil. January 2016, President Buhari made it clear. He said he was going to do his utmost best to keep every promise he made to Nigerians during the election campaign. Tonight isn't about looking at if President Buhari kept all of the promises. That debate will happen another day. But tonight, let's look at what President Tinubu has promised in his own first New Year message. He said his administration recognizes that no meaningful economic transformation will happen without steady electricity supply. In simple terms, President Tinubu is saying if he's not able to solve Nigeria's electricity problem, the country will not make progress. In his New Year message, he has talked about his major ambition is to build a fair and equitable society and close the widening inequality. We're about to find out if after his term, because we will take a look at these promises and find out if that was achieved. In his New Year message, he talked about understanding that a lot of Nigerians were asking, is this how this administration wants to renew their hope? And so that is the situation we find ourselves, looking at where we're coming from and looking at the president's promises. He says his clear priority, one of the clear priority areas will remain the defense and security of the country. But what the president also needs to look at is, if we look at our history, the president and the presidential system has focused on military, the federal government's might in securing the country. 2024, for there to be renewed hope, we need to look at state and local government security solutions. That is the real outlook, actually.
All right, so now looking at the highs and lows of security in 2023, can our recent history, of course, be used to predict the future of security, I mean, in 2024 and even beyond?
In all, 2022 first was a tough year. The evidence shows 2023, looking at security, was a better year relative to 2022. One way to look at this is for us to look at the top 10 security stories for 2023, because it then allows us to have a recap of what happened in 2023 and then make better judgment on what 2024, the 12 months of 2024 will look like. Coming into 2023, story 10, we see that the partnership between the U.S. Army Corps on the Super Tucano jets, a facility was built and it was commissioned. So that was a big positive story in 2023. The partnership the Nigerian military had with the United States Army to make sure that the Super Tucano jets that had been purchased were well maintained. We clearly also had seen the new Chief of Defense Staff, General Musa, evolving an integrated philosophy that improved the synergy the Nigerian Navy, the Army, and the Air Force had. So we clearly have seen that since June, when the President appointed new Chief of Defense, new service chiefs, we've seen that new leadership improve the sort of working relationship that they have. Another big story last year was the President signing the Defense Industries Corporation bill. Some of the bill is to allow Nigeria to start looking inwards to self-sufficiency in military equipment. So the bill will improve the capacity of the armed forces to invest more in local production and also to attract investors that want to invest in local production. Story 7, we saw that drone failure that led to innocent lives
mistaken airstrikes.
Mistaken airstrikes into exactly. So that was one of the big stories as well for last year. Another big story of last year was we saw a lot of arrests of collaborators of terrorists. Some numbers put it as much as 1,000 of those collaborators were identified and arrested. A lot of them are waiting trial, but that has allowed a lot of families in the Northeast feel safer. The government also had declared a state of emergency on food security last year. That was one of the big stories for last year, talking about how it intends to use some of its economic plans to reduce the rising food prices and reduce shortages. Big story again was the Christmas Eve tragedy that happened in Plateau State. We remember the change of baton that happened in June when all the service chiefs were changed. And then the top two biggest stories of the year. Story 2 was the report from humanitarian agencies and diplomats that as much as 7,000 terrorists were killed in Nigeria. Never in our history has the military been able to achieve that such feat. And the biggest story of the year, based on online reports, shows that the Global Terrorism Index, which is the world's leading authority of measuring terrorism, stated that Nigeria recorded its lowest incidence of terrorism in the last decade. And so, looking at 2023, despite the big security challenges, we feel that 2023 provided some hope relative to what had happened in 2022. So, summary was 2023, we could say, good news relative to 2022.
And finally, definitely, what would be the global security perspective, about Nigeria in the year 2024?
Now,
quickly.
Those are where the real numbers are. Again, don't forget, let's keep our eyes on this. Nigerians
talking about seeing clearly.
Seeing clearly more than seeing the future. 2023, good news. Let's look at the numbers again from the Global Peace Index, because again, that gives us, despite the good news, that lets the government know what the challenges are and how the world sees Nigeria. The numbers in front of us are from the Global Peace Index, and those are Nigeria's rating across perceived criminality in society. The best score should be 1. We've seen that we've struggled to go below 2. Since 2021, perceived criminality has been increasing. Organized conflict. Based on the report from Global Peace Index, they are saying that in the last 10 years, perception of organized conflict, their assessment is that nothing has really changed. Overall score, things were really bad in 2016. The target was to get 1. According to Global Peace Index, we scored 2.84. 2021 in the last 10 years was our best year, 2.64. However, since 2021, the Global Peace Index says Nigeria needs to be careful. Things have started to change. And so, in all, 2023 gave us hope. 2024, we still have hope. The outlook still looks good based on the trends of 2023. However, the government needs to keep its eyes very, very clear. The trends and the numbers shows that if we are not careful, if we keep focusing on the military and we fail to look at state and local government solutions, 2024 could be problematic. Let's not forget how we started. What Nigerians are asking for is the government should not even talk about seeing the future. All they want is for the government to see clearly. Anthony.
All right. Thank you so much, Babajide. We definitely appreciate your thoughts again on the news at 10. And let's hope things get better as far as security is concerned.
Just all need to see clearly.
Seeing the present. Moving on now, the Supreme Court has affirmed that the control of activities on the nation's inland waterways, including levying and licensing operators in the sector, belongs exclusively to the federal government. In a judgment written by Justice John Okoro and read by Justice Emmanuel Agim, the Apex Court held that it was unlawful and illegal for states to seek to control the sector and impose levies on businesses operating in the nation's inland waterways. It held that existing laws give exclusive control of activities in the nation's inland waterways to the federal government through its agencies, the National Inland Waterways Authority and the Nigerian Maritime Standard and Safety Agency, and no other tier of government. Respondents to the appeal were the Lagos State Waterways, the State's Commissioner for Waterfront Infrastructure Development, the State's Attorney General, the Governor of Lagos State, the Incorporated Trustees of Association of Tourist Boat Operators and Water Transportation of Nigeria, and the Incorporated Trustees of Dredgers Association of Nigeria. Many legal practitioners have described the year 2023 as a very eventful, challenging, and somewhat controversial year for the Nigerian judiciary. It's the year that trended the hashtag all eyes on the judiciary, and indeed all eyes were on that arm of government as it decided all manner of political cases. In continuation of our look at the task ahead of government in 2024, tonight we turn our attention to the judicial sector. Our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shirley, reports.
Politics took center stage in the year 2023, and with the hangover of cases from the 2022 political party primaries and even the post-2023 general elections, the courts were bombarded with all manner of political cases. Over 600 pre-election matters were filed against the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in respect of political parties' primaries ahead of the 2023 general elections. These cases forced the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal to establish a special task force to especially dispose of these bitterly fought cases. These developments predictably affected other cases, both criminal and civil, handled by these judicial officers, as many were unduly delayed, with the attendant economic and social implications. 257 judges were pulled out of the various high courts in the country to hear about 1,209 petitions arising from the 2023 general election. While some of the appeals on these petitions are still pending, the Supreme Court on October 26 resolved the issues raised by the Allied People's Movement, APM, People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Labour Party in favor of President Bola Tinubu. Some other weighty matters the Supreme Court decided are the appeals by the federal government on the release of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, as well as the new Naira policy of the central bank, where the court allowed for a coexistence of both the old and the new notes. Outside the country, the decision of the Commercial Court of England and Wales stopping the enforcement of an $11.5 billion Process and Industrial Development P&ID Limited arbitration award against Nigeria remains one of the most talked about decisions from the courts. Another significant development is the appointment of 11 justices to the Supreme Court, which has finally been laid to rest. As 2024 starts, One pending weighty task is how to strengthen the independence and integrity of the judiciary and ensure that the courts enjoy financial autonomy at all levels. Other challenges include fast-tracking the use of technology in the courts, the speed of justice and inordinate delay of cases, technicalities, the high cost of litigation, prison congestion and awaiting trial inmates, reforming the appointment process of judges, and how to shield the judiciary from political influence.
Any matter across the Supreme Court, you cannot talk about less than 6 or 7 years before it gets right for hearing. So let us do some weeding, some, call it exercises that may be, whether it's criminal or civil clearance, to deal with this so that we can make way for speedy and expeditious dispensation of justice.
We must go back to the ethics of the profession and give undilute justice to our people in 2024 and beyond.
The EFCC, ICPC and other agencies with the power to prosecute corruption cases must also step up their game this year, as no high-profile corruption case was concluded in 2023, while the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice must immediately put in place modalities to prosecute terror and other criminal suspects who contribute to the high insecurity in the country. Shola Shoyeli, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, we have more on the expectations of the judiciary in 2024, plus former River State Governor Nyesom Wike reiterates his intention to abide by the 8-point peace agreement brokered by President Bola Tinubu as he hosts his loyalists in River State. Please join us again. Welcome back. Let's now get some more insight on the task ahead of the judiciary in the current year, 2024. Earlier, I spoke with Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Professor Damilola Olawi. I started by asking him to assess the judiciary in the year 2023.
2023 was a year of mixed performance in terms of the judiciary, some positives and some negatives. Of course, 2023 was a busy year generally for the judiciary because of the election disputes. So all eyes were on the judiciary, both literally and figuratively. And I think to an extent, the judiciary was very active and was able to respond to the pressure that the election created. But of course, there were still concerns about, the independence, the transparency of the judiciary in handling the disputes before it, especially issues of mixed judgments coming from different levels of courts across the country. So that created, again, increased concerns about the integrity and independence of the judiciary. But of course, a second big issue for the judiciary in 2023 was the remarks of the retired Justice Muhammad Dattijo in his valedictory speech, in which he raised a lot of concerning and alarming questions about the integrity of the Supreme Court, issues of professionalism, issues of independence, issues of even transparency of the Supreme Court was put on the front burner by that valedictory speech. And I think that left a lot of analysts wondering whether the much needed independence and reforms of the judiciary that we've been looking for, whether we are at all close to it, if those sort of pungent and very concerning questions could be raised about the judiciary by a retiring Supreme Court justice. I think so 2023 was mixed in that regard. Lots of hope on the judiciary, but again, lots of questions at the end.
And besides ensuring financial independence of the judiciary, Prof, what more can government do, especially to shield judicial officers from political interference?
I think the year started on a positive note. We had with the President Tinubu administration, doubling the budget of the judiciary for this year. And that has come as positive news for a lot of us that are keenly watching the judiciary. But I think now that some of the financial worries of the past may have been laid to rest by that budgetary allocation, there is now a need for the judiciary to embark on the process of ensuring a structural reform in terms of ensuring that some of the problems in the past of our courtrooms looking dilapidated, lack of digitalization, lack of technology, those issues should be addressed now with the funding provided. Also, the conditions of work of judges should be improved. Now that there is a lot more funds have been injected into the judiciary, then we hope to see judges being exposed more to technology, being exposed more to better working conditions in terms of pay. In the past, we've had judges complaining about lack of opportunities for training. And so there is indeed a need to ensure capacity development, providing opportunities for judges to join their colleagues abroad, getting periodic opportunities to go abroad for refresher courses. That is what you see in many other countries. That is what you find. Judges being, keeping abreast of latest developments. And I think with the way the year started, we hope to see more of that. So we of course, there is also a need to address the issue of workload that the judges have to deal with. You've seen that we've raised concerns about, some cases that should not even go to the Supreme Court. We've had people going to Supreme Court to argue about missing goats and things like that. Meanwhile, in the United States of America, the Supreme Court is only there to address issues of federal or national importance. So there is still indeed a need to reform the sort of disputes that go to the Supreme Court. There is a need to address issues of workload. There is a need to streamline. And of course, some of these are constitutional questions that the National Assembly will have to look at very closely. How can we streamline the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court and all the other courts to reduce the workload such that our judges can function optimally like their colleagues abroad?
Professor Damilola Olaoye, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, we thank you so much for your thoughts on the news at 10.
Thank you.
The FCT Minister and former Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has promised to abide by the terms and conditions he signed in the presidential peace intervention, saying he will not disobey the president. He made this commitment during a New Year luncheon at his residence in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. He further accused the governor of scheming to remove the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martins Amewule, while insisting that the move will be fiercely resisted.
It's a full house at the banquet hall of the FCT Minister's private residence in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, as political heavyweights from within and outside the state, across political divides, are gathered for the minister's New Year luncheon.
Despite the challenges of life, he has always excelled, and he will continue to excel.
Conspicuously absent, however, is the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara. In attendance are former governors, members of the National Assembly, members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, among other groups. One by one, they take turns to pledge their support for the minister.
Even as he continues in his good works in the FCT, what he even did in Rivers State will be a tip of the iceberg. Our hope and prayer is that he will do even more for this country.
We are here to reaffirm our loyalty and our support to you, sir. The political structure that you have built in Rivers State cannot be dismissed, cannot be just waved away like that. We want to assure you that we are strongly behind you and will continue to support you, will continue to work with you.
Not left out are members of the G5 governors and the canvas support for the administration of President Bola Tinubu.
With all of us supporting the administration, President Bola Tinubu, we shall get to that level in Jesus' name. So I want all of us to support, irrespective of our party affiliation. Let us work, because Nigeria cannot exist when we have no Nigeria.
Then comes the turn of the FCT minister to give his goodwill message, where he accuses the governor of scheming to remove the Speaker of the House of Assembly, He, however, commits to abiding by the peace agreement drawn up by Mr. President.
Why this matter got to this level? When people go and plot to the removal of speaker, and you think we will fold our hands, you remove speaker, we'll start with you first. We'll start with you first. You want to humiliate trouble about people? You want to humiliate us? To remove speaker? Now so, after the fight, now, you go take a first.
It would appear that the political situation in Rivers State is still fragile, going by the events of the last few days, where stakeholders in the crisis have been making strong political statements.
In Lagos, the state governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has urged residents of the state to continue to pray for the leaders of the country in order to change the current economic situation for good. Governor Sanwo-Olu, who was speaking at the 2024 Thanksgiving service, says the construction of the 4th mainland bridge will be flagged off soon, and the inauguration of the Red Line Rail project will be carried out early this year. He's also seeking the support of the people to achieve good governance in Lagos State.
The annual ceremony organized by the First Family of Lagos State in collaboration with the Ministry of Home Affairs has brought together dignitaries including the former governor of Lagos State, Takinwumi Ambode, and his wife. Top government officials, religious leaders, invited residents are also here to praise the name of the Lord for the opportunity to witness the very first Sunday of the new year. The state government says there are more projects on the way.
I can boldly assure you that this year are loaded with more developmental projects, life-changing policies that will bring prosperity to the economy of Lagos State.
Wife of the Lagos State Governor, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, takes the first Bible reading from the book of Psalm.
Psalm 140, verse 1 to 13. Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man, preserve me from the violent man. Keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man, who have purposed to overthrow my goings.
Oh Lord, we are very, very grateful, and we say thank you, Jesus.
The Lagos State government assures residents of completing all ongoing projects and also asked the people to obey the law of the state.
Last year, like I said, we witnessed the historic development in Lagos. We commissioned and we started the first subnational rail project that was commissioned last year and started operation. We cannot or continue to make the Blue Line Rail project. And we're happy to the lives that is moving from one point to the other. But for us, that is just the beginning, because we promised and said that we will do the work twice as much, twice as fast, twice as better than we have done it before.
The annual event has become a tradition in the state, as it is an avenue for the state to give thanks and rededicate everything to God.
More federal presence has come in the way of communities affected by farmers and herders and other communal crises in Adamawa State, where normalcy have since returned. One of such communities benefiting from the provision of social amenities like water supply, roads, and a market, courtesy of the senator representing Adamawa South Senatorial Zone in the National Assembly, Senator Binus Yaro.
Lamza is a community in Guyuk local government area of Adamawa State, known for large-scale farming and contributing to the food security of the country. But for some time now, this community has experienced minimal farming activities due to the farmer-herder crisis and communal disturbances, resulting in the destruction of communities and their displacement. With the return of normalcy, the enabling environment for the provision of infrastructure has become necessary. The Lamza community in Guyuk local government area of Adamawa State rolled out the drums to celebrate the provision of some basic amenities, such as a police station, industrial borehole, 11.5-kilometer road, and a clinic that will help to improve the lives of the people. Governor Marufin Tiri, who is represented by the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, says his administration takes the issue of peace and security seriously, while the senator representing Adamawa South applauds the partnership between the federal and state governments.
This is one of the feats that can be attributed to the peace atmosphere that this government has struggled to maintain to an appreciable level. As such, the business of maintaining this peace lies in each and every one of us, not only the government. As we begin to enjoy the wonderful projects, we must do so bearing in mind that it behoves on everyone to ensure that these projects are adequately maintained and not plundered or vandalized in any way.
Some people are saying, is it only Lamza? But you have to start somewhere. You can't develop all communities in one day. You must do one at a time. Today it is Lamza. Tomorrow it will be somewhere else.
A community leader and a resident of Lamza describes the infrastructure development as evidence of democracy.
We are elated, we are happy, and this is dividends of democracy coming to our people. As you can see, this village is hinterland, and it's going to open up the place.
Although relief has indeed come to the people of Lamza after years of suffering without these facilities, the people are optimistic that large-scale farming will resume shortly in the various communities.
Nollywood filmmaker Funke Akindele is getting all the accolades at this time, and the reason is simple. Her movie, about a single mother who was able to bring together her 5 children from different fathers, titled A Tribe Called Judah, becomes the first movie in Nigerian history to cross the R1 billion mark in the cinemas. Now, congratulatory messages and commendations have been pouring in, starting from President Bola Tinubu, the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, to top politicians, captains of industries, her colleagues in Nollywood, as well as her fans, who have all congratulated her for this special feat. In this next report, Akindele describes the effort that produced the critically acclaimed movie.
Tired of this generational curse.
Anoint my children with the blood of Jesus.
We're not cursed.
It's been a long time coming for Funke Akindele to hit the record R1 billion mark in Nigerian box office. Her 2021 movie, Omogeto the Saga, earned 636 million naira to become the highest grossing movie in 2022. The follow-up movie, Battle on Boka Street, raked in 668 million naira in 2023 before A Tribe Called Judah now crosses the R1 billion mark and is still counting. This means she holds credits for the top 3 highest grossing movies in Nigerian box office, and she feels good about it.
I'm taking it in. For the first time, I broke the record, the highest grossing to beat 1 billion in Nigeria. It's huge. I feel good about it.
On this record-shattering project, she wore many hats, including production designer, head writer, original story writer, lead character, and co-director alongside Adeoluwa Owu.
When Mama starts saying, "How are you?" before she start coming, Mama's almost last line, you should start moving. Okay. Then Mama, so you can calm down. Because
you know, it was challenging wearing different hats, you know, trying to make sure it's good. While acting, I'm still trying to check the expressions of the other actors to be sure they're giving us what we want. So it was a bit challenging, you know, but I don't really see challenges. I focus. I started with I Need to Know, and while on the set of I Need to Know, I was understudying every department. You know, I'm self-taught. So I was understudying all the departments. I was there as an actress, but I was checking out everything. I was always asking the director then, he's late now, Lloyd Weaver. I said, I'll ask Baba, what is this? We call him Baba, what is this? What is this? Oh, this camera is for this. This is what you do. This light is called this. And then from then, I moved on to the Yoruba genre. And I started learning how to produce. You know, Yoruba movie makers, they're very good producers.
In 2021, how Ghetto became the first Nollywood movie to make it into the mainstream theaters in Dubai. Battle on Boca Street also became the first Nigerian film to gross over $60,000 in its opening weekend in the American box office. She explains that there is a growing niche market for Nollywood movies in the international space.
Well done. You were looking for one white cap, Abby. Have you found it? We have it.
I think just telling the African stories, being very original, selling what we have here, you know, globally. You will see Bollywood, the Indians, they will sing, they will dance, they will tell their stories, they will speak their languages. You know, some people will be like, oh, she likes grassroots so much. Oh, we want to see cars, we want to see fashion. Yes, we can see all this. Yes, internationally, they need to know we know fashion here, we're good, we know what it takes to be Western, but we are not. We are Africans.
So if you come in and just cut it, at least they can be waiting for you. So who went in first?
The industry, as presently constituted, is largely driven by individual efforts of practitioners, and for many years now, they have been calling for more government involvement to help catalyze its growth. Perhaps this new record will provide $1 billion incentives to lure the government of the day into taking the industry more seriously.
I know I'm going straight to it. You know, when you comment to camera.
Welcome to Sports News. Ahead of the Super Eagles opening Africa Cup of Nations opener against Equatorial Guinea on January the 14th, Alex Iwobi and Adamawa Lookman remain confident the three-time African champions will get a perfect start to their campaign in Côte d'Ivoire. Both players say the team know the task ahead and the expectations from football fans in their quest to pick a fourth African title. The team thrashed a local club in Dubai by 12 goals to nil in a test game earlier today in Abu Dhabi. Ademola Lookman fired 4 goals. Victor Osimhen and Moses Simon grabbed the brace, with Sadiq Umar and captain Ahmed Musa also getting on the score sheet. They will get a proper warm-up game against Guinea on Monday evening.
Yeah, we've seen the fans know, we know, the staff know the ability and the quality we have in the team from each man that's in the squad. And even the ones that didn't make the squad, there's a lot of talent in Nigeria. So we have confidence that we can go far in this competition, but we have to prove it to ourselves. And the first thing that I can assure Nigerians is that we're going to give 100% to make sure we make the nation proud.
As a squad and as a team, we've got a strong mindset all together. You know our slogan, let's do it again. And we're fighting to do that again. I think as a team, like I said, we're together behind each other. As individuals, we believe in ourselves, and as a team, we believe in ourselves. So that's the mindset.
Liverpool survived an Arsenal barrage to seal a place in the English FA Cup fourth round in dramatic fashion as 2 late goals secured a gritty 2-0 win on Sunday. That's today. Jurgen Klopp's side rode their luck for long spells as Arsenal wasted a series of chances to take the lead at the Emirates Stadium. Now, Kevin De Bruyne made his long-awaited return for Man City as the English FA Cup holders thrashed Huddersfield in the third round. 5-0 it ended. It's not a done deal yet for Nottingham Forest, who face a replay against League One outfit Blackpool after coming from behind to avoid defeat. West Ham United and Bristol City, Luton Town and Bolton will all be replayed as the tie ended in draws. The U.S. aviation regulator has said 171 of Boeing's 737 MAX 9s will have to be grounded after part of an Alaska Airlines plane's fuselage fell off on Friday. Passengers are being warned there would be cancellation of flights as a result. United Airlines has already grounded 79 planes. According to Alaska Airlines, the flight disruptions are expected to last into next week. The European Union Aviation Safety Agency is following the U.S. Federal Aviation Authority's approach, although flight disruptions on the continent are expected to be minimal. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu ordered an investigation into alleged payments by Humanitarian Affairs Ministry into a private account. Now, the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, who announced the president's directive,